Hey y'all, so this is going to be a little bit of an experimental night. We've got a little bit of a new format, as you guys can see. I was trying to listen to the audio and it seems like the audio is a little sketchy. So you guys in the comments, only the regulars, not the new people, you know who you are. If you're a regular and the audio is sounding sketchy to you, please let me know just once. I'll catch it. And we'll make it through. But I hope you guys like. How do you guys like the new kind of look? So once or twice a week, we'll be coming to you live on this live stream, and we'll be adding YouTube very soon. Glad to hear the audio is working. And we are going to be streaming and talking to you about cryptocurrency, and it's all sponsored by Crown. Crown is a token. It is a cryptocurrency that Daniel and I are excited to talk about. And so with that, I should probably let Daniel introduce himself, but after me first. If you're new to this, my name is Ollie Alexander. I work in politics full time, but I also invest in a lot of cryptocurrency, own a production company, and several other things. I'm a man about his business. And I'm very excited about the revolution that's taking place with cryptocurrency. It will touch the unbanked, it'll touch the developing world, and here's a chance to get away from bad fiscal policy, get away from bad monetary policy. So that's why someone like me, who happens to be a conservative Republican, I know, with this name and this skin color, it might surprise you, but I am a Republican, but I think that we need libertarians, anarchists, Republicans, and Democrats if we're going to fulfill the promise of crypto. And with that, I want to introduce my good friend, Daniel Bostic out of South Carolina, and I'll let him introduce himself, and he'll preview a little bit about what today's show is about.
Howdy, everyone. As Ali said, I'm Daniel. I'm really excited to be here and get to know all of you. So I have a background with crypto that we'll get into a little bit later. I also have backgrounds in politics. I am a former staffer for now Senator, then Congressman Tim Scott. I worked in DC on the Hill and as well in the district office, and I consulted with various campaigns from a local to national level. And I am a crypto enthusiast. This is what I live, this is what I breathe, and I'm really excited to share it with all you guys. I discovered Crown a couple years ago, and I was actually really interested in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin led me to a certain token called Dash. And Dash was really revolutionary, especially at the time, and that it had something called masternodes, again, something we'll get into a little bit later. And I told Ali all about Dash, and I was a huge fanboy, and I was trying to get him involved in Dash. But at that point, the boat had really left the harbor. Dash had already taken off. It was very expensive to get involved in the project. It was very expensive to get a masternode. So I started looking at other masternode coins, and that's where Crown came in. Crown leverages parts of the Dash code and has masternodes. So I then pestered Ali again and did a deep dive into Crown and talked him into buying a masternode with me. Now that was back at 31 cents, almost exactly a year ago. And ever since then, it's been a wild ride, and we've been accumulating since then. So
yeah,
we'll get to the rest of that later.
And right now, what's Crown sitting at? I haven't looked since 375. But, I know there's a little bit. Everything's kind of in flux right now. But a couple of days ago, I looked and it was 375. And Daniel's fetching that price for you right now. But it's something Daniel and I have just watched, kind of rise, because we're going to talk to you about the ecosystem that they're building that we believe in. But what's the price today?
It's at 288 right now.
288. And, and that's in fiat value. You guys know I hate that fiat mindset, but we want people to understand, that if Bitcoin lost, what is that? 12% of its value, 375 to 288. You'll have to do the math to see if that's similar value or whatnot, but we're pretty confident about this. But we're going to talk about that more later. I know something that everybody wants to hear. Everyone has been waiting for me to talk about Bitcoin's bottoming, Bitcoin's power bottoming. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I mean, since we knew that Bitcoin was correcting, and correcting in the stock market is anything 10%, in the crypto community we largely say, okay, anything 20%, but 30% dips are pretty regular. We've kind of exceeded that now, right? We've exceeded 10%, 20%, and 30% from our high. We haven't seen a 10% or 20 or 30% loss off of what we expected it to be. So here's something that everyone needs to understand. After we hit 10, there may have been a little euphoria. I'm not ready to call it mania, but there was certainly euphoria that took us to 20. We kissed 20, and then we started bouncing down until the waters calmed. The waters seemed to be calming around 15, and then we got hit with fake news. Fake news from major news outlets. Reuters reported that South Carolina was doing away with cryptocurrency. Turns out it wasn't true. Today we heard that Turkey, I believe it was Turkey, it might have been a different country, but Turkey was doing something, and it turns out that was it was India. That India was supposedly outlawing it, and it turns out that was fake news. So what's happening now is that, I told my subscribers this over on Patreon, and we'll have a link put in the comments by some of our loyalists down there. But I do private crypto analysis, and I told my people, look, the short-term chart is no longer correct. We have to either be on sentiment or we don't know what's going to be correct. When all the dust settles, somebody smart or dumb is going to be able to point and say, hey, look, I was right. But they won't have been right because there have been so many twists and turns. There have been charts and technical analysis. There have been re-examination of fundamental analysis. You've seen Square and Jack Dorsey dive in. You've seen Mark Zuckerberg talk out of two sides of his mouth. You've seen Stripe pull away merchant services with Bitcoin, but say that they're still bullish on cryptocurrency in general. You've seen Robinhood open up their cryptocurrency market and their app as they take on the big brokerages with their stock platform. So a lot of stuff is happening. You saw Peter Thiel announce that he had hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. So a lot of stuff is happening, and the point is, the safest position is to hold. The safest position is to hold, and that's what I told my subscribers. I told my subscribers, look, if you're an investor and you're not a trader, and those are two different mindsets, then you just want to hold. You want to kind of ignore the price. So instead of looking at the price every day, even me, somebody with lots of money in it and somebody who soaks up the news every day, I have refused to look at the price but anything but Bitcoin. So my altcoin portfolios, I have no idea how they're doing or not doing. But what was reassuring to me is 4 days ago, I went into my altcoin portfolio, Daniel. I went into one of them, and I saw that the fiat value was obviously not at the high, but it was more money than I had invested. But what was cool is I had actually made more Bitcoin. And that's the funny thing is we're trying to lead this revolution, and everyone's still stuck on the dollars. The fact is one Bitcoin in December is one Bitcoin in January. Will be one Bitcoin in a year. Now, what's the purchasing power of that? We don't know. But I bet you this, it won't be determined in 10 years by the US dollar. It might be the euro, the yen, the dollar. It might be an index of all three. It might be all sorts of things. It might be electricity and kilowatts. It could be anything. But it's really funny that even we crypto guys are like, oh my God, how much is my token worth? How much is my coin worth? If I only got out and then got back in, and we try to kill ourselves in this process of this guessing game, and we're not all built to be traders. While I have the inclination to trade, the intelligence to trade, the self-learning and self-taught training to do that every day, it's not something I enjoy. I enjoy all the other stuff I'm doing. So it's kind of like, you got to choose. Do you want to have a trader mindset or do you want to have an investment mindset? And I told my subscribers I couldn't see sentiment letting us below 10,000. Obviously, I was wrong. But what do we call this? We call this FUD. What's FUD, Daniel?
Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And when you have major outlets like the AP and Reuters and news out of India telling us everyone's going to ban crypto, which is actually would be a great thing in my opinion. It'd be a great thing if governments decided not to participate in crypto because I don't want the regulations. I don't want a cooperation. I don't want, the banks to become who we trade our cryptocurrencies through. So, my opinion, getting banned would be a good thing. We have decentralized wallets. We'll talk about that later, and all kinds of other things that we the people can do. But I'm pretty excited about this. But I do want to stress that I was wrong in my prediction. It wasn't a forecast, but my prediction that Bitcoin could not dip below 10,000 for a long period of time. In crypto, days is a long period of time, because I thought sentiment would keep that there. But the FUD, I couldn't have predicted that. That will be what it is. So now what we know is that the short-term charts were wrong. The sentiment analysis was wrong. We're looking at the long-term chart. And the long-term chart says that there's a case for 8.8, that there's a case for 8,000, that there's even a case for 7,700. Now that's going to feel like pain, but what is pain when we were just a couple of months ago at 1,500, at 5,000, at 6,000? So a lot of us are still up. If you're down because you got in towards the top, worry not. Your losses are not actualized until you actualize them. So if you're willing to stick in like I am, you're willing to wait out weeks or months, then we'll be fine. What you have to know is that some people who are in stocks wait years, wait 6 months, 7 months, 8 months before they see a turnaround, and they're happy with 3% and 4% and 5%. We're talking about gains that could be 300%, 3,000%. And this isn't investment advice. I'm not neither Daniel or I are brokers. We're not lawyers. We're not medical doctors. We're not giving you any medical, legal, or financial advice. What we're telling you is our opinions and how we have tied up our money. Because I've pulled nothing out. Daniel, have you?
I did a little day trading a couple months ago, but no, not other than that. And that was not a wise decision.
Yeah, I mean, crypto is harder to get than fiat. We got clients that can pay us in fiat. It's rare that you find a client that's willing to pay you in crypto. And so if you guys want more exclusive analysis, a lot of people are like, Ali, you were delivering day by day reports in January and then you stopped in January. You only were giving us it every 3 or 4 or 5 days. Well, that's because why focus on the negative? If you have a holder mindset, if you have an investment mindset, then I don't need to guide you through this uncertainty. I don't need to guide you through this fakery. You know what you need to do, and that's to simply hold. If you allocated your portfolio wisely, then you're seeing a proportional dip or a proportional gain. If you were in Verge and all this other random crap I told you not to get in the first place, it's because, guess what? You never know when the market's going to go woo or meow. And whenever it does, now I sound like Cardi B. But whenever the market does something like that, you don't want to be stuck holding the bag with shit coins, okay? And that's why you got to really vet your altcoins, which is something that Daniel and I are going to talk about tonight. Now, don't forget, at the end of this Periscope, we are going to do a Q&A. We will take the best 4 to 8 questions. Daniel and I will answer them. We'll answer the ones we want, and that'll be pretty awesome. So you can ask about Bitcoin, you can ask about Crown, you can ask about cryptocurrency in general. I personally won't be answering any other questions about Litecoin, BAT, OMG, or whatever have you. But I will say the exciting thing about this coin is I'm as excited about Crown not as excited, but I'm pretty excited as I was for BAT and Litecoin. I'm in Litecoin forever. I'm in BAT forever, and I'll probably be in Crown forever. And not just because it coincides with my personal branding, although that helps. That helps, y'all. Screenshots. So I want to talk about what is Crown. Crown is an application platform and sandbox for developers to harness their apps on a blockchain, a reliable blockchain. They can run their entire apps inside of the Crown ecosystem. They're going to have payments. They're going to have web hosting, storage, API calls so that apps can speak together. In fact, there's already use. So this isn't vaporware. This isn't speculativeware. This isn't an ICO. There was no pre-mine. This is stuff that's already happening. It's basically an API token. So think if a web developer had to buy API tokens for their app to work, they need to buy those or rent those or lease those or trade those from you, the holder. It's not a speculation coin, and that's something I'm very, very excited about. And Daniel and I are going to go back and forth. We have 5 reasons why we want to talk to you guys about Crown tonight. One, you guys know this. I've talked about this. How many people have heard me talk about tokens and the difference between tokens and coins? Yeah. So one, you need to understand the difference between tokens and coins, first in utility, is that tokens can be used for an actual purpose. It's not merely the storage of value or a commodity, although there's value in that. There's a lot of value in that. The US dollar is one of those things. But a token like BAT, they're paying on the Brave browser for your attention, for advertising, for impressions. That's very powerful. So I like tokens more than I like coins, but the coins that I'm going to be in, I want to be in forever, like Bitcoin, like Litecoin, etc., etc. And what I like about Crown is that it's more of a token and not a speculation coin. That it's about APIs and that it has nodes. We'll get into nodes later. And Daniel, your turn. The second reason we like Crown.
So one of the things that really drew both of us into Crown, and one of the things that was very attractive, is that there's a lot of speculation out there as to just these garbage junk tokens that exist that are backed largely by anonymous people. And these anonymous people could disappear tomorrow and you would never see them again, and they would be a heck of a lot richer. And that's something that we're seeing more and more in the news. But something that drew both of us to Crown was that the developers have actually put their identities on the line with this project. You can go to the website, you can see all the different people that are on the team, and you can actually, decide for yourself whether or not you think these people are worth trusting. But they do this full time, and that's why we're involved.
And this is something I've told everyone. I've talked about this. All of my viewers who have watched for a long time know that, I have kind of a venture capitalist mindset. And I said, hey, if you want to venture into an altcoin that has a product or doesn't have a product, the number one thing, what is the number one thing? I want to see this in the comments. What is the number one thing I say that you have to be aware of with an altcoin? Remember, it's kind of like a startup, but it isn't. But in the aspect that it's a startup, you want to find out who's the founder and who's on the team. How good are they at their skill set? How good are they at recruiting talent? How good are they at delegating tasks? Do they stick to their roadmap? And Daniel and I have kicked the tires for for nearly a year or over a year, not even sure anymore. And we know these guys. We know these guys, and there's disagreements, but there's always consensus. And these guys aren't just sitting on piles of money. They're working and they're working and they're working. They're not outsourcing their work. They're doing it themselves. They have a heart for building a community. One thing that appeals to me, the son of a lawyer, a guy who does a lot of contracts, a lot of NDAs, is I don't want this in all of my coins. A lot of you guys know, I believe the promise of crypto cannot be regulated by the government. I'm a cowboy. I'm a pioneer. I'm a rabble-rouser. However, there are some tokens that we need to cooperate with the law, and Crown, which is mainly Europe-based, has said, well, we want to be compliant everywhere, especially in the United States. So these guys have spent tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars making sure that lawyers are pouring over everything. In fact, Crown has been around since 2014, if you can believe it, and it was called Crown Coin back then. Because that's not exactly accurate, and that adds to this speculative nature where people are buying and selling at whims, they decide to call themselves Crown and talk about the technology and the API and the ecosystem that they wanted to build. And I like that. That shows maturity, responsibility, and being aware of what the SEC may or may not do is really good. Now, they're already in the clear. Again, there was no pre-mine. There was no ICO. There was no issuing entity. This wasn't pay us a bunch of money and we'll develop a product. This was let's start mining like Bitcoin did. Let's start building something horizontally like Bitcoin did. And that's what I like about these guys, while also having their identities out there. In fact, I think these guys might be a little too cautious. For example, Crown is not anonymous. So, does it trade wallet to wallet like Bitcoin? Yeah, but they don't do any coin washing like Dash does, or anything like Pivx or some of these other coins. It's a token that says we want the app to talk to the user, the app to talk to the ecosystem and the blockchain. And, that takes a lot of maturity. This is kind of like investing in a company, except for, you're not investing in a company, and you get a say in it through kind of this decentralized governance.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the features that really drew both of us into Crown, aside from everything that you've mentioned, is it's got really fast transaction times, and those are coupled with low fees. So that means that tokens can be swapped back and forth, very, very low markup, very low fees, and it happens incredibly quickly. It's based on the Bitcoin network, so it's got a lot of stability behind it and a lot of that traditionalist mindset. And it also appeals to miners really strongly. You can actually merge mine Crown with Bitcoin at no additional overhead and just generate Crown off the Crown network.
Tell people what merge mining is, because a lot of and let's pause it for a second. I want you guys to click share right now. Click share.
Please.
Let's tell people about the promise of crypto, that it belongs to everyone. It's not just this coin that we're pimping. It's Bitcoin. It's all of it. We want you to kick the tires. We never want you to just take our advice, because this is just our opinion. Also, we want you to screenshot this. Screenshot crownblockchain.com. Daniel and I are going to be running an exclusive email list where if something's wrong or something's right, or if there's news that we can share with you about Crown, CRW, then you want to go to crownblockchain.com. And that's not going to the team. That will be managed wholly here in the United States by Daniel and I, and crownblockchain.com. So I hope you guys got that screenshot. But Daniel, again, what is merge mining? And the developers know what this is, but what is it, and why does that matter to you and I, who, frankly, you and I aren't mining?
Right, absolutely. So merge mining, as best I understand it, is when if a user or a mining farm wants to mine, or they are mining Bitcoin, they can incorporate, because the code between Crown and Bitcoin Crown's based on Bitcoin. Because of that, you can actually mine both Bitcoin and Crown simultaneously. So someone who is mining Bitcoin can tie their mining power into the Crown network at no additional overhead, meaning you don't have to go out and buy additional hardware to mine Crown on top of Bitcoin. You can mine both of them at the same time and provide valuable resources to both networks, and also bring in more income for yourself. And that's huge. We don't hear stuff like that a lot in crypto right now.
Right, and even the big guys like Ethereum, their network goes down all the time, and it's not just because of crypto kitties. It's been all kinds of other times. I remember in July, I got so angry, or June, I got so angry at that their network went down, and we saw Ethereum touch 10 cents. Someone made $3 million or something dollars. Wow, now that I think about it, that's got to be worth. Oh, I don't even want to think about that right now. Oh my God, yeah, that's got to be worth like 15 million now. And what's funny is I actually know one of the guys who got the buy order in that. I don't want to talk about it, but anyway, I know all kinds of secrets, and that's the thing that's changing. So why are you doing the show? Are you just here to shill Crown? No, it's time to step up our game. Daniel and I have made good money on crypto, but Daniel's more libertarian, and I have some libertarian leanings. And it's not about even libertarianism as much as it's about freedom. And everybody should enjoy this freedom. The people in Venezuela are suffering because of bad monetary policy and bad fiscal policy and bad governance. And that's a socialist government that was backed by, the Democratic Party in the United States, the Labor Party in England, and the Labor Party in Canada. It's not a good look, but that politics don't matter when people are suffering and people are dying. And now those people are relying on Bitcoin to get their meals and cancer treatment and fly out of that hellhole, that shithole. And it's just really, really sad. And so what Daniel and I have been talking about is, why don't we find a sponsor? And what was cool is we didn't have to go look for a sponsor. Instead, what we did is we put in a proposal to a coin we're already holding, and the community said, yes, we will give some Crown to Ollie and Daniel to talk about what they like. They don't give us a script. There's no guidance. We don't have to say anything we don't want to say. We're not shilling. We're not pumping and dumping. We're just talking about this. Now, inherently, are we going to touch more people than they've been touching existing? Yes. Is that going to make the price go up? Probably, because scarcity is a thing. And so that's going to be one of the positive upsides. But the cool thing is, Daniel and I decided we're going to talk about a lot of other coins. We're going to talk about a lot of other crypto analysis, and we're going to tie in Crown in that as well. And we're going to free people. We're going to free people. And so the last part that I kind of lean into, the number 5 reason why we wanted to talk to you guys about that is there's a lot of room to grow. I think today it was at $43 or $48 million as a market cap. For those of you guys who are watching market caps for altcoins, that's pretty small. And considering this coin has been around with an existing community that's not gone away since 2014, you could call this one of the best kept secrets in cryptocurrency. And, we believe it is. And that's why, we're excited about this, because there's nothing more fulfilling than telling somebody about something that you already have, you already own. No one paid us to own Crown, And so we already have it, we already own it. Now we're getting some funds to go ahead and blast that out to people, do production, and allocate some of our time as professionals. In fact, Daniel just got rid of his largest client so that he could take the time to kind of really manage this account, if you will. And, and it's taking both of us. We knew that no one person could do this and create the content that we want to. And sometimes there's too much geek speak and nerd speak happening in the Crown community, frankly. And so anyway, there's lots of room to grow. But what's really important is that this leadership team has kept on their roadmap. They've kept their promises. And that's very important to me. So there's Catalyst, if you guys do finance, there's Catalyst happening in Q1 of this year, which I've alluded to. I've tweeted about it. I've certainly put it on my Patreon. Again, put that Patreon link, patreon.com/OllieAlexander. But the cool thing is Daniel and I are going to be talking about those catalysts when they happen on crownblockchain.com. We'll be talking about it. And there's several more catalysts happening in the future quarters during this year. But Daniel, we got to be honest. We promise this is something my audience loves about me, my integrity. You can't buy it. So let's talk about what are some weaknesses that we think there may be for Crown.
One of the things we mentioned earlier was that Crown is a very small market cap project. And we are increasingly up against some incredibly powerful and frankly wealthy players that have tokens that have received a lot more marketing attention than Crown has. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you have the opportunity to get in on a project at a point where it's still affordable for myself and most people. And on the other hand, that also can work against us. We are kind of starting from the bottom and working up.
Which is the only place I like to be, working my way up, that is.
Absolutely.
Hold on, I'm trying to find the money emoji. Where is that? Where is that? I sort of got these emojis are probably the worst organized thing in the world.
There's no categories or anything.
It's like blah, blah. So anyway, one of the things that that we don't like, and Daniel and I have discussed this, and so we're gonna announce something, is one of the weaknesses of Crown is that it's on very few exchanges. Now the cool thing is it is on legitimate exchanges, so it's not one of these obscure coins. This isn't a coin, it's a token, and it's not something that is on an obscure market. It's on Bittrex, and it's not something where you're speculating the features. They already have use cases and apps out there. There's a wonderful service out of Ukraine that is built on Crown. It's going to scale with Crown. And there's other things. So the cool thing about this is it makes our job, our advocacy easier, because we're not telling anybody to believe in anything. We're saying, hey, look, this is either going to grow or it's not. And it's obviously going to grow. So this is the only question for the trader, the investor is, does this grow faster or slower than Bitcoin or Litecoin? Do I allocate 2% of my portfolio, 5% of my portfolio, 30% of my portfolio to this? I wouldn't advise anybody to do any more than that. But you know what I'm saying? That's the type of risk analysis that we're going to take people over the next couple of weeks. And this is where you guys come in. We're going to use the list over at crownblockchain.com to really Braden has a rumor in there. I can't repeat the rumor, but let's just say you guys know that I swing a big pin. And with this pin, we are going to craft some awesome tweets, and we are going to pressure and we also have some crowdfunding mechanisms. So the development team is willing to pay to get on some of these bigger exchanges, but we want to use social pressure. So put a crown emoji if you guys are up for being in this coin, growing with this coin, profiting off this coin, and if you're a developer, you can use the coin as a utility, the token. So put a crown if you are willing to devote maybe 1 tweet a month or 2 tweets a month to making sure that we get on markets where we can touch everyone. Because remember, the promise of crypto, that's a phrase that I've come up with. The promise of crypto is that you don't have to go through Google. You don't have to go through Amazon. You don't have to go through the Federal Reserve. You don't have to go through the UN. You don't have to go through the IMF. You don't have to go through the SEC or the United States government. That is the fundamental promise of crypto. And we have to build these ecosystems where our apps can live, where our speech can live, and yes, some of the storage of our value, which again is not the biggest deal of this, but you guys know what I'm saying. So crowns up if you're for the kind of championing this. But again, we want you to learn more. I don't want you to do anything just because I said so. Were you mimicking my crown?
I was trying to mimic. I was like signaling you, and I'm like, "Come on, now's the time. Roll it out."
Yeah. I got another one too. It's over here, but hold on, let me see. There's my other crown, but it's a little smaller. So yeah, Daniel, where can they get crown?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, the largest exchange that Crown is on is Bittrex. And that
Which right now they don't have new signups, but a lot of people.
Right. So that's something that you're going to kind of have to keep checking back for to see if Bittrex opens up those signups. They've had such a large influx of users that they've temporarily closed that down.
New signups, not the exchange.
Yeah, the signups for Bittrex. But they should be accepting new ones shortly. Another place that is really starting to take off is a decentralized exchange called BarterDex. And Ali, we will get into that more later and make this as easy as possible for people who want to use that service. But it's essentially peer-to-peer trading in a trusted environment. And it's it's a piece of software on your computer where you can execute trades with other users around the world. And it's pretty incredible. And then another option is if you wanted to do it over the counter, you can always reach out to people in the community and see if anyone's willing to part with it. I don't know that you'll find a ton of people because people hold on to Crown. They're pretty passionate about the project like we are.
Yeah, and you might find that people, I mean, even me, if someone couldn't get it another way, would I sell someone 10 crown? Yeah. Would I sell someone 1,000 crown? Hell no. I want to hold on to it because, anyway, I've done the math, and the math is good. And that's one thing you're not going to hear me talk about during these first couple months. I am not comfortable sharing my personal price target for Crown during 2018. Let me tell you, I have one. Let me tell you, it's worth more than $4, but I don't want to get into that because I don't want anyone to get into Crown for simply the money, because we don't want people coming in with their shitcoin mentality and dumping a community that we believe in. That's very, very important to Daniel and I as well. Remember, Daniel and I were holders of this before we ever agreed to section off part of our time, which is very valuable, frankly, and to champion this coin, just like I champion BAT. I love what BAT is doing. I love what the basic attention token and the Brave browser are building. And I think that Crown can be a part of that future. Again, it's because of all the reasons that we said. So, and again, BarterDex, Daniel and I will be working on our own branded video. You'll be able to see Daniel's computer screen, and we will walk you through 100% of the steps on whether you're on a Mac or a PC of downloading BarterDex, syncing it up with your Bitcoin, your Litecoin, your Crown, and how easy that is, so you won't be in an exchange. Now, people have heard me. Proper risk assessment also requires that you be spread across, either all hardware wallets or hardware wallets and exchanges. Because remember, put it this way, if you're in 5 different exchanges and you've grown 100% that year, and let's say one exchange steals money from you, you've still grown 80% that year. So that's proper risk assessment. That's not the case with stocks. Stocks aren't like that because you don't have that risk. But because centralized exchanges are still kind of the wild, wild west, and I have a ton of money in centralized exchanges, you want to kind of spread it around across the reliable ones just in case. You never know what could happen. And but you also want to make sure that you're on paper wallets, hardware wallets, or on your desktop. If you're doing proper security, it's fine on your desktop. You got passphrases that are written down. And so Daniel and I are going to come out with our own branded video of barter decks. They're not paying us. We're not shilling. This is simply about freedom, isn't it?
Absolutely. Every time.
Every time. All the time. God is good all the time. So I know what the favorite part of this Periscope is going to be. You guys answering or asking your questions. So let me go ahead and sign into Periscope so that I can see your questions. But Daniel and I are going to do our best to answer any questions. It can be about Bitcoin. It can be about cryptocurrency in general. It can be about Crown. But any 3 of those topics are fair game. So click share. Click share. Once I see 10 shares, then I'll go ahead and open up the Q&A. Once I see 10 shares, I'll go ahead and open up the Q&A. In fact, I'm going to share it myself by retweeting myself on Twitter. So let's see. Undo retweet and retweet. That easy. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for sharing. Got good numbers during this. And don't forget, we will upload all of these live streams to YouTube. I've decided that you guys are going to be more informed. In fact, I don't know what I'm supposed to not talk about, but Jesse and I should be launching something in early March. So we're building the full infrastructure for analysis for crypto. I'll be working with Daniel. I'll be working with Jesse. And I want you guys to be safeguarded and better protected, because there's some real sharks and assholes and shitholes out there. And the cool thing is we're bottoming. So it's only up from here very soon. It may be weeks or days, but very soon we'll be out of this mess. And it's not even a big mess. So are there any questions, or is that just is my Periscope not working correctly? Are you watching too?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I was listening to you.
Oh, well, I'm just rambling. All right, so what are some questions you have about Bitcoin? Yeah. Nice emojis, Ollie. Daniel, let me ask you the first question while they're priming their questions up.
Sure
they're
thing.
probably doing spell check. I like this comment, actually. Having a diversified crypto team behind a coin seems essential to success. How diverse is the Crown team?
I would say very diverse. And again, because they've put their identities on the line, you can go and you can vet this team. You can go see who these guys are. You can look them up online. You can see other projects that they've been involved with. You can see what they've accomplished. And this is a group of guys from all over the world. And they are working together daily to build the Crown platform. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I will say this, they all look like white guys to me, but they're not. There's Europeans. They have a Turkey ambassador program. They have a South American ambassador program. They have a Ukraine ambassador program. We're not the U.S. ambassadors, but we're kind of doing some of the advocacy there. In fact, we might go meet these guys in March in Miami. So you guys know me. I'm kind of private about my travel plans until they're set in stone, but Daniel and I may go visit Miami March 1 through 3, and on the 3rd do a meeting with these guys, because we've been talking to these guys for more than a year, but we've never met them face to face. So that might be kind of cool. But the team is getting more diverse. There's more advocates out there, and it's good. It's good. It could be better. But that's the cool thing. This is like a company that has had a Series B funding, and they're going to go through D or E. So someone said, is there Crown in Russia or China? I'm sure there's Crown everywhere. But I don't think that they have teams there.
Actually, we did just fund a new team in Russia.
Oh, okay.
And you can go. They have Russian accounts already set up on social media. They're going to Russian crypto conferences. We're making big moves in those areas.
So Iron Pill asks, is the downturn market manipulation by institutional money, and will they push Bitcoin down to 4 to 6K? Let me just tell you this. It's not only institutional money. Unfortunately, people don't listen to me in the crypto community, except for when it comes to making money. But I want to tell you, there's a great sin. Kind of like slavery in the United States. We started off this country with an original sin. Man is born with original sin. But crypto in general, by allowing Tether, I'm just going to say it, by allowing Tether and keeping people in that fiat mindset, really effed things over. So if we see the failure of Bitfinex, then we are going to lose. We are going to lose. I'm just going to tell you, we'll lose a couple of $1,000s in my prediction, in my summation of it. I think the real bottom, we're already below the real bottom. In fact, we're just a couple of points away from being oversold on the RSI. If you don't know what the RSI is, don't worry about it. But for you to understand this, in this current channel, like since Bitcoin's been worth just a few $100s, Bitcoin has only been oversold twice before. This would be the third time that Bitcoin's ever been oversold. And when it hit, the second it hit oversold in the RSI, boom, it bounced right back up. And so it looks like we're looking at 8.5. But I'm telling you, this Tether stuff could ruin us. This fiat mindset could ruin us. That's why I don't want you guys to put all your money in crypto. I want you to put what you don't need for a couple of years at the minimum. But for me, it's tough watching it because I'll tell you, I got a lot of my wealth tied into crypto now. But it's also not tough because what the hell else am I going to spend that money on? Another Hugo Boss suit? I just bought 2. And I did that without crypto. So I would say this, if we get to the 4 to 6 area, I will at that point start doing some irrational things with my money and getting more into crypto. But it will be because of a mistake on us. It won't be because of Paul Krugman. And I want to tell you that I have an article coming out on Paul Krugman in the next day or two. You guys need to read that. I talk about how the institutional money is trying to kill Bitcoin. I promise you, there's conspiracy to kill Bitcoin, and everyone's participating in it now. From the New York Times to JP Morgan, Paul Krugman, a lot of people have their reputation capital built on Bitcoin's price. If we can stay at 10, it's going to suck. So someone said, General Eden says, what does Crown have over Coronado or ADA? So what does CRW have over ADA? ADA doesn't have a product. ADA, I mean, with all due respect, I've got several friends who love it. And it seems like it has a good team. They've not built anything. So the promise looks good. The code looks good. The mathematics and white paper look good. They've not built anything. So right now, I'm not saying it's vaporware. All I'm saying it's nowhere. It's nowhere. That was cool. I didn't even expect to
trademark that. Wow, that was good.
That was good.
That was good.
What about shut up. What are some other coins that you would compare Crown with, Daniel, and what Crown is in use right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's hard because there are other projects that do things similar to what Crown does, but a lot of them are actually behind in development from where Crown is at, even though they may have larger market caps. And that's because the teams have just chosen to spend a lot of their money and dump it in marketing before they even have a product. And
can I say this?
Yeah, please.
It's worth noting that Crown, remember, if there is no pre-mine, if there is no ICO, they are literally spending their own money to market this. So they're paying electricity bills and they're renting out miners, and No, I'll give you the site here in a second. But no, they're spending their own money. So the cool thing is, it really is a community. There's a community pot. They allocate that budget. And the development team has a budget, and then the proposal teams have a budget. And Big Kahuna Man asked, he wants to know more details about the team. You can go to crown.tech. So you can go to crown.tech. I'll throw that website up here real quick, but you can go to crown.tech if you want to learn more about the team. We encourage you to learn more about the team. You know, there it is right there, crown.tech. And you can learn more about the team that is leading the development that has a lot of the crown. But the cool thing is that this project, you know, it's a little too centralized, but it's not so centralized. So the good thing is these guys are relinquishing power. I mean, one of my big criticisms of the team early on, Daniel will tell you, was I wanted the proposal system up immediately. That the development team couldn't talk about decentralization if they didn't have their proposal team with a UI that was functional. Those guys got on that, got it done, and Daniel and I didn't use it for our benefit. We didn't even submit during the first months. We waited to see how the process worked. We let everyone else get money out of the pot, and then we came in and we said, we're ready to tell our folks about this. We wouldn't have felt comfortable telling you guys about this earlier. But for the past month or two, this has been something that Daniel and I have said, okay, you know, we might need to be in this now. We might need to be in. And with Bitcoin bottoming, I knew we couldn't wait any longer. Now is the time to buy, you know? Daniel, what were again? What were you going to go on about comparing this to other coins, or?
Yeah, so I mean, there's other projects that are kind of creating that application development platform, that sandbox, if you will.
Right.
I'll just be straight up honest with you. You know, like I said earlier, I live crypto, and I have not found a project that I would trust as much as Crown. Of course, for me financially, there is reflected in that. But I mean, these people, as you mentioned earlier, have consistently met every goal that they've set for themselves. They've set realistic goals, and they've developed a real product. And that's something that we don't see in any of these other competitors. And that doesn't mean they won't come out with anything. It just concerns me that maybe their priorities aren't quite in the right place. And they're trying to ride this crypto frenzy up as much as they can before they actually push out a product. And I think we're both on the same page. We think that there may well come a time when a lot of these tokens that have no product, they're vaporware, will just tank. They'll burn. The market will correct on those.
Yeah.
And Crown is really a different story.
Yeah, somebody asked in the chat room, they said, is the dip in Bitcoin because of proliferation of altcoins? No, it's not. No, it's not. And the problem is that there was money shifting to altcoins, which wasn't a problem. That's good, because you want to find a ratio or an equilibrium or relationship. But now you're seeing money exit the market. So the general market size is going down. And that's not good, but it shows that there were soft people. And some people were willing to hang on from 17 to 15, from 15 to 13. And now they're like, okay, I made the wrong decision. Those people will regret it. I'm not going to say soon, but soon. So, you know, and they will have learned a powerful lesson. And some people need to learn the lesson the hard way. Other people defer to the experts. And other people decide, hey, I'm in it, come win, lose, or draw. So, you know, that's why I tell people, I'm not selling you anything. Find out what you believe about cryptocurrency before you consume my analysis. When you decide what you believe about blockchain technology, what you believe about Bitcoin, what you believe about Bitcoin's market share in the general cryptocurrency market, whether you're a Bitcoin maximalist, or you're, you know, something else or whatever. You have to decide so that you can filter the information and the research I'm handing you. I'm only a curator. I'm only a guide. Yes, my analysis is pretty badass. But, you know, we can only be guides You have to be your own filter. Crypto is about the promise. So Daniel is typing to me in our private chat. What are you typing, Daniel?
Okay, I know we're not supposed to pay like close attention
No,
to
we're
the
not.
topic. But you had me. I mean, I had the thing pulled up earlier, so I can't help it. So Crown is currently, according to CoinMarketCap, which again doesn't factor in the South Korean exchanges, is currently up to $3.07 from 288 when we started. And actually, the Bitcoin price is what's rising. So the relation in price to Bitcoin is what's rising, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Remember, we've talked about this before when we talked about Litecoin. You want the ratio to shrink, even if it's by a little. You want the relationship to shrink. So Cole got here late, but Cole's my buddy, and he did this. So where can they buy Crown, Daniel?
Bittrex. Bittrex is the largest exchange that Crown is currently on. And so because of that, that's really where most people choose to do their trades. There is also BarterDex, which is a decentralized exchange. The volumes over there are really picking up. And like we said earlier in the video, that's something that we're going to really walk people through in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we're going to produce videos. We're going to produce all kinds of other stuff for you guys. And I want to go ahead and, because I want us to slowly get ourselves off the fiat mindset, Crown is at 34,632 Satoshis. So I want to make sure, we ought to do this, Daniel, is we ought to make sure that anytime we quote the fiat price, we ought to quote the Satoshis.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm down for that.
So 34,632 Satoshis. Advisors_crypto. Great comments out down there. All right, so what are a couple of other questions that we can answer? Crown, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general. These are very good questions so far. Let me say hats off to you guys. Crown's up because you guys are thinking like kings and queens, like princes and princesses. I'm very impressed with that. Crown's up for yourself, and tap those hearts if you love the community that we're building. Now remember, I didn't go to this coin because it matches my personal branding. It's kind of just weird. Like, I have the Crown community, and my catchphrase is #CrownsUp. It just so happens that we're promoting Crown. I mean, it's just a happy happenstance. It has nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other at all. Okay, and here's a question I want to ask. While other people are coming up with a couple of final questions, I want to ask this to the crowd. Well, here's a question first. We believe smart contracts are going to bring the crypto revolution to another level. Thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So smart contracts is really just an incredible idea. I do think it will in many ways bring crypto to another level. I think it will also really open up people's minds to the possibility of blockchain technology. A lot of people right now, in my opinion, really just think of blockchain tech as something that is geared towards payments, kind of like a new PayPal. It's magical internet money, and smart contracts really is I think in a lot of ways going to change the game, but it is a very much a different use case, and it's something that hasn't really been proven a whole lot yet in the real world.
Yeah, not in the real world, but certainly with the relationship of the creation of other altcoins, which essentially are startups. And so one thing I'm very excited about, I'm going to tell you guys one of my secrets to trading. Buy Asia. Buy China. So Neo, I think that Neo is better tech, has access to a broader market, better team, doesn't have a dictator, pimple-faced dictator. I like Neo. I like Stratus. I like a couple of other things that I'm not going to tell you guys about, but there's great smart contract coins coming out of Asia and China right now, and I'm very excited about that. I mean, if we're going to do ICOs and we're going to do eventually legal contracts, binding contracts, resource swapping, then I'm buying Asian coins more. I have no interest in buying anything based in America smart contract wise. And really, I'm not a fan of Ethereum. Ethereum may be too big to fail, but I really don't care. I'm just not touching it. I'm only touching it when I need to buy something else. By the way, I lost $4,500 the other day, buying Ethereum and then sending it to some scam. So even the good guys, sometimes the smart guys get caught up in their own crap. But here's a question for the crowd. How many of you guys plan to sign up at crownblockchain.com? Crownblockchain.com. How many of you guys are going to sign up for crownblockchain.com? It's just an email list. You may get an email once a week. It may be every other week. I can't imagine it ever being more than twice a week. But, those emails will come from Daniel and I, and they'll be mainly about Crown, but it will also be about some other stuff. So some of the stuff that I don't even post on Patreon, that I don't post on Twitter, will go on there. So you guys take a screenshot. You don't want to forget this. It will be curious to see what the volume was during this live scope. Jesse said, "Send every day." Jesse, I want to do that with our list. Are there any final questions? So Daniel, how excited are you to be doing this type of advocacy work? And you've really, even though, I don't want to get into the financials of it, but you're not just stepping out on a leap of faith. You're like, you're knee deep in this. It's like.
Absolutely, yeah. I honestly don't know that I have been as excited about anything in my life before. And I'm really not just saying that. I mean, I've gotten to have some incredibly cool experiences, but this is something else. And I really do believe that we're going to look back in the next, 5, 10, 15 years, and we're going to be like, those were the days. That was, the new beginning of the internet. That was the new beginning of a revolution in commerce, and finance, and contracts, and all these things. And you and I, we're in at ground level, and we're dragging all these people along with us. And it's pretty darn cool.
Yeah. If you guys are in Santa Monica on Saturday, I will be there 7 p.m. I'm hosting a dinner. I'm not paying for it, but we're hosting a dinner. Dinner, beers, networking. I have a special guest I'm announcing tomorrow. Santa Monica. Tweet me, twitter.com/ALI. Yeah, it's that short. ALI. I'll be in LA. I'll be in Santa Monica for 5 to 6 days. Then I'm flying up to San Francisco. I'm doing some research. I'm meeting with some top Bitcoin Cash guys, and they're going to make the case to me. I'm skeptical of Bitcoin Cash, but I really want to go wherever the research takes me. So if the research takes me this year to China, I'll go to China. Daniel and I have talked about Miami. We've talked about going to Consensus. It's very expensive to do research inside of crypto, but it's also very easy and people are accessible. And so I'm committed to building a community of 10,000 people. That's about enough for me, that really, 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 really want to do well. And I will be your oracle. I will be your friend. I will be somebody to talk you off the ledge if that's what you're looking for. And Daniel will be right here along with us.
Absolutely.
Building it all out.
Better or worse.
Yeah, better or worse. And, I'm so excited. Like, we've got some awesome stuff. Like I said, we've got videos, we've got emails, we've got independent websites coming. Like podcasts. I guess we're doing a podcast. We should just.
That was my idea.
Yeah, we're just going to convert this into an MP3 file, and it's gonna be really good. Hold on, I gotta send this text real quick. Yeah, so a lot of people are excited. I'm getting text messages like, okay, I'm sold. And we don't want you to be sold yet. We want you to wait if that's what you want to do. If you want to wait, you wait. But I think this is a good point to stop. Daniel, any final thoughts?
I would just say do your own research. It's all there. The information is all there.
Yeah.
You just got to take a little bit of time and do some digging and come to the same conclusions that we did, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about these small market cap tokens or coins, is that you can do enough Googling that you can spend half a day consuming all the content that's on the coin, and now you're an expert. And now you're an expert. So you don't have to have been with me and Daniel in the Mattermost, which we'll tell you guys about that in the future. You know, you don't have to be on the forum or in the chat rooms watching everything like we do. You can consume every video, every tweet, every article that's out there public and come up with your own opinion. Then you can dive in now as a resident historical archivist, and you can participate in real time with the community. And you can talk to the guys who are leading this project. Remember, it's decentralized. They're only the leaders so long as we want them to be, so long as they're holding crown. And it's very, very exciting. Very, very exciting. So we're going to play some music. Daniel will be in the chat. I'll be in the chat for another like 45 seconds. And Daniel, I'm going to let the music play. They're going to see us for about 30 seconds before I go to the last title screen. So don't do anything crazy. Victory or death. Crowns up. Crowns up.